No, dude, am I crazy? Did the sun just... Sorry, guys. Barely... Wait a second. Did this light just go out? No, dude, am I crazy? Did the sun just... Sorry, guys, I'm so confused right now. I think the sun just, like, went behind some clouds or something. Am I crazy? I feel like it just got really dark in my room all of a sudden. I don't know. Maybe I'm starting to go insane. We've been in this cave for so long. It's starting to mess with me. Anyways, getting back to it, we now have...
Got a business that needs a website? I created one for my agency with Wix. I'll show you how. First, go to Wix.com. Our agency is all about creativity. We want our website to be as dynamic as we are. Now we're talking.
Alright, so let's...
This show reel helps us attract new clients, so we always keep it up to date. Looking good. Being an ad agency that can't advertise itself is not a good look. Luckily, Wix hooked us up with a personalized SEO plan to make sure the clients can find us on Google. We just won an award for some epic content. I'll share the news right now with an email marketing campaign. Add a new pic. Nice. I love it. Wow. It turned out great. Go to Wix.com. Create your own professional website today.
Alright.
We're searchers, you and me. But you deserve a chance to make a place in the world. See, I'm a searcher who just wants to settle. Wants it bad. Just can't seem to find that place that'll live up to you, my perfection.
Alright.
Tell me what you're doing in this place.
It's a fact. So you're a customer.
Customer who has brought a host of problems to my town, which already has enough problems.
You don't know a cock-a-doodle thing about us. This town is not a good place. We're running from something, aren't we? I will always do anything to keep you safe.
People around here, they forget. They forget the past. It's written in blood. I'm warning you. Something bad is coming.
Listen to me now. People of races like this try to make you one of them. So they can use you and throw you away. But I won't let them. It'll be blood on Christmas before I let them. That's the story, soup to nuts.
All of this smelted very good. Yeah. Okay. The zombie nearby. I'm not scared. We're zombobbling. So I just gotta remember always place torches on the right. Don't worry,
I really
guys.
need to
I
get an
didn't
anvil.
miss this iron. It's right here, obviously. So let's go think about this. Before we keep going down into...
I really want to watch Us.
This video is sponsored by Skillshare, and I'll share all the deets on that in a little while, but for now let's talk about Jordan Peele's second film, titled Us. Us comes on the heels of Get Out, and while I personally didn't find the film very memorable, clearly I'm a moron, because it was one of the most successful horror films of the year. Peele even won an Oscar for writing the Best Original Screenplay of 2017. So, Peele's second film, Us, was greatly anticipated by audiences. The plot of Us, and I will be getting into heavy spoiler territory from now on, can essentially be summarized like this. There are clones of civilians living in underground spaces underneath the United States. These clones, known as the Tethered, were made by the government to control the citizens on the surface. The experiment was a failure, so the government simply abandoned them underground, and over the decades the Tethered lost their minds. But then Red shows up on the scene. Red organizes the Tethered and plans a mass invasion of the surface. Their goal, aside from killing their surface doubles, is to recreate the 1986 Hands Across America event, to show that even those marginalized by society and given no opportunities are still capable of doing great things. At the end of the film, we learn that Red was actually born on the surface, and her Tethered, now known as Adelaide, switched with her when they were children. The Tethered successfully invade the surface and recreate the Hands Across America event. The main family manages to escape, though it was a very close call, as their fate was ultimately decided by a knife fight between Adelaide and Red. They escaped south towards Mexico. Watching this, I couldn't help but think that the plot was very convoluted and made no sense, but also that the family could have survived the situation with significantly fewer trials by combat. There are in fact easier ways they could have beaten this situation, and as usual I discovered this by googling a bunch of inane facts and figures, most of which have put me on government watch lists. The last solution on this list would completely stop the Tether's invasion of the surface without any loss of life. So welcome to my video blog of how to beat the Tethered from Us. I call it the blogging. But before we can get to those solutions, first we need to explicitly consider the conditions of the scenario to figure out exactly what obstacles need to be overcome to beat the Tethered from Us. Now I'm going to attempt to explain exactly what the conditions of the scenario are, but my god is this going to be a monumental effort because this movie just does not make sense. This movie makes less sense than the birthday t-shirt ads that Facebook keeps showing me. Jude man, you know my name, not my story. You see my smile, not my pain. You notice my cuts, not my scars. You read my lips, not my mind. This one is my favorite though. Sorry, I was already taken by a freaking awesome June guy. He's a bit crazy and he scares me sometimes. Wait, so this is a domestic abuse situation. Right? But I am his queen. He's my whole world. Flirt with me, and the beast inside him will awake, and they'll never find your body. Holy shit! I had no idea that as someone born in June, I was an unstable spouse-abusing murderer. Thanks, Facebook. Film glosses over some very important details that are either not explained or make no sense, so I'm just going to list all the logistical problems this movie has so that we can get past them and focus on the conditions. But the worst plot hole of the movie is entirely unforgivable. Where is all the rabbit poop? Do you have any idea how often a rabbit poops? The average rabbit poops 100 small pellets a day, and yet these floors are completely spotless. I can forgive the rest of these problems, Mr. Peel, but rabbits without rabbit poop is one step too far, my friend. The lack of rabbit droppings in this movie is a complete farce, and I shall not have it! So, what are the specific conditions the Wilson family is facing? First, let's talk about location. The plot takes place in Santa Cruz, a small city just south of San Francisco. The cabin that the family stays at appears to be on a lake because every shot shows land on the other side. The water is also far calmer than the ocean usually is, and finally, these water scenes were all filmed on Lake Gregory, just east of Los Angeles. There is no good candidate near Santa Cruz for which lake the cabin exists on, so the lake and cabin are assumedly fictional. What's confusing is that they drive into Santa Cruz from the east at the start of the film, as the water is on the left. But when they're trying to escape, they drive into Santa Cruz again, but this time from the west. Their cabin and the lake are somewhere near Santa Cruz, but because of this, we can't pin down exactly where they are. It was important to figure out if the cabin was actually on the ocean, because if it were, the family could have escaped on the boat. Fortunately, that's not the case. Now let's talk about the tethered themselves. They share the soul of the person on the surface, which gives the tethered some vague psychic knowledge about them. They seem to know the location of their double, for example. They also possess the same skill set. Gabe can drive the family boat, and as a result, so can Abraham. The twins are very acrobatic, and so are their tethered. This even applies to physical strength and cardiovascular fitness, as the daughter's tethered can run just as fast as she can. The tethered are unable to speak English, but do communicate in a way suspiciously similar to Michael Keaton. The tethered are somewhat resistant to pain, but are still vulnerable to a mortal wound. Every single one of them is armed with a pair of golden scissors. Because of the scene where Pluto attempts to kill the family with fire, we know that they won't exclusively use scissors if they find a better way to kill you. Speaking of killing you, the tethered do seem exclusively interested in killing their surface double. When Umbre chases Zora, they get interrupted by a mustache. But Umbre initially ignores him. Only when he really bothers her does Umbre kill him. This is illustrated again when the tethered homeless man kills his double, after which he doesn't bother anyone else but simply waits for the rest of the tethered to form a line. This suggests that the tethered are only interested in killing their surface double and won't attack anyone else unless they interfere somehow. Their goal is specifically to replace the person on the surface, not wage war against all surface people in general. Their secondary goal is to recreate the Hands Across America event, and at the end of the film they do appear to succeed.
That's a good question on Figured Out. Alright, so 5 million people.
Success gives us a
5
good approximation of how many tethered there actually are.
5
The average
million.
wingspan of an adult human is roughly 5 feet and
5
7
million.
inches. If you take a horizontal line across the United States
5
starting in
million.
Santa Cruz,
So there's about 5 million people, almost exactly 5 million created the Hands Across America.
Which is where the West End starts. The distance across the United States is approximately 2,500 miles, wherein the rise in gain in elevation is mostly negligible. Using these numbers, it would take at least 2.36 million adults in order to hold hands across the contiguous United States. So there are 36 million adults
No, 5
in order
million
to hold
actually.
hands across
At
the
least 5
contiguous
million.
United States. So there are
Because
at
me and
least
that's
that
a
many
bunch,
tethered. Since they appear to have completed the Hands Across America event by morning, and their first goal was to kill their surface double, that means the tethered have killed at least 2.36 million people by the end of the film. The footage of the line seems to indicate that all the remaining tethered are required to form it, as the Wilson family don't encounter any of them on the streets of Santa Cruz, nor do they see any on their drive down to Mexico. The tethered invade the surface somewhere within a 12-hour period, but not simultaneously. The first tethered we see is the homeless man on the beach who kills his double and then heads for the start of the line, sometime past 2:30 p.m.
But you guys said 2:30. Where's the efficiency, man?
The main tethered family emerges at 11:11 p.m., and several hours after that, the tethered of the Tyler family strikes. Although Adelaide calls the cops and they say they're 14 minutes away,
Let's call the cops.
I did. They're 14 minutes away.
What? 14 minutes?
they never do arrive, which indicates that either the tethered eliminated the cops before they could get there, or the cops got sidetracked.
What does Okay, so they sidetracked them to move from the main track to a siding as a train to move or distract from the main subjects or course.
Either 911 calls caused by the tethered. Either way, most of the tethered attack within this 12-hour time frame. The news report they watched seems to indicate that by the time they dispatched the tethered Tyler family, the invasion is well underway, and by morning they've completed the Hands Across America event. That's a comprehensive breakdown of the conditions of the scenario that the Wilson family is facing. Now let's move on to the solutions, is what I would be saying were it not for this video's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creators with more than learning so hard. What the fuck? This use Moho. Care. I'm also interested in create more share. The perfect limited and $10 a month. They're helping to support this channel, so please give them some love by clicking the to the surprise and speed of the attack. Millions of tethered invade the surface in the span of a few hours with no warning whatsoever. Most would be killed as they slept, or before they had a real chance to fight back. Even if they were awake, I expect that coming face to face with someone who looks just like you would be distracting enough that most people would let their guard down upon encountering their tethered.
Oh my god, it's a clone! Now neither of us will be virgins!
The Wilson family is the exception, however. Red doesn't want to just kill them, she wants them to suffer, to show them that the tethered are just as competent as they are. Because of this, the Wilsons are able to trick or evade Red's family and escape onto the boat. As far as I'm concerned, this is the first time in the movie that the Wilson family has the ability to make informed decisions. They're not aware of what's happening until Red's family already has them cornered, but due to a series of very lucky circumstances, they all make it out alive and regroup at the boat. So what action should they take at this point? In the film, they go for the obvious thing, which is to go to their friend's house for help. But